Hello, hello. Oh, learning to appreciate life. I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you. You're so kind. You're so beautiful, so kind. Thank you. To be honest, the pleasure has always been mine. I've played mother to so many really living legends and legendary characters. I was mother to Louis Gosett Jr. in the Satchel Paige story. I was grandmother to Mahershala Ali. I was mother to, well, auntie to Howard Rollins. And the list goes on and on and on. And I'm so privileged to have had an opportunity. I was wife to Samuel L. Jackson in A Time to Kill. And then Sam remembered me from a time that I had forgotten. We used to participate in the National Association of Speech and Dramatic Arts conferences where our schools, we were competitors. And he said, wait a minute one day. He said, I remember you. He said, I know what. Did you ever go to NASA? I said, yeah. He said, oh, you know who my teacher was. I said, now it's coming back. Because our professors used to just butt heads all the time. And many times it was over the two of us. So when we were working together on A Time to Kill and thinking back to those days in college and remembering Latanya and how beautiful she was even then as a student, who is now his wife, I tell you, it is something to behold. So I've been very fortunate, very, very fortunate. Yeah. And now, yes, go ahead. Jackson State University, Jackson, Mississippi, and then Alabama State University, Montgomery, Alabama, both capital cities. Jackson State was my school. I graduated from Jackson State. I was Miss Jackson State, queen of the campus. And that was a great feat because I think I was, at that time, the first time they ever had a real dark skin Miss Jackson State. And the students made me feel so proud to bear that crown. Um, and I worked at Jackson State later after getting my master's degree from UC Santa Barbara, where I met Frank Silvera and so many others, Brock Peters, Ivan Dixon, Owen Dotson, while at UC Santa Barbara, and Floyd Gaffney. But I returned to Jackson State to be an instructor there. And it was at Jackson State where I first put into practice what Frank Silvera put into me, his concept of being. And I started teaching it to the students there. And stayed at Jackson State working in the speech and theater department for 20 years. And then I was awarded a fellowship to um, to Tallahassee, Florida, to Florida State University. And at Florida State, I wrote my dissertation on Frank Silvera's theory of being, on his theory. And then I returned to work at Jackson State. And after a year, I moved on to Alabama State University, where I worked for 28 years. So I really worked in higher education, 28 years at Alabama State and 20 years at Jackson State. So that gave me 48 years in higher education. But Marlena, the thing is, during that time, even while at Jackson State, I had a little children's group called the Eye of the Tiger. And the Eye of the Tiger was where I groomed little ones and had them to perform. We had what we call the art cart players. We performed in the parks during the summer, put on plays during the summer. And then when I came to Alabama State, I started another program of camps in the summer. And actually, I had about 4 or 5 camps at Alabama State. We would do taps for the little children, 6 to 12 years old. Then Camp 3T, where we moved in the dorm with the children for a week, trained them and put on the production. And students came from everywhere: New York, Michigan, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina. They came in by the bus loads and the van loads. So at Alabama State, we had TAPS, then Camp 3T, and then I had the Camp Gifted for children who were physically challenged. And then I started a camp for adults called the RPAC, Adult Repertory Performing Arts Camp. And this camp, we spent Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and performed on Sunday. And then I started a camp called the Technical Theater Initiative. So it was just amazing the work we were able to do and the lives I had the opportunity to touch. Because at Jackson State, I believe we had a number of students that came up to maybe about 60 children every summer. And for 20 years, 60 different children. Now that's a lot of children to touch. And then at Alabama State, each camp was over 100 children. TAPS always had like 140. Camp 3T would have about 175. Camp Gifted would have about 15. And then the RPAC, it lasted for 3 summers. And each summer we would stop the number at 12. And then the Technical Theater Initiative, we had on an average of 12 students. So over 48 years, I just loved working with the many wonderful, wonderful talents that God put in my path. And not to mention my college students at Jackson State, and then my college students at Alabama State. So when I started at Jackson State, we were on a quarter system. So I was teaching like 5 classes every quarter. So that tells you a sense of the numbers. And soon after being at Jackson State, we went on the semester system, and I was so happy because by the time I would feel like I made some waves, made some gainway into the minds and the understanding of the students, it was time to stop and get another group of students. So the semester system afforded me the opportunity to work with the students longer, and their talents were really shaped and really served a wonderful purpose. And at Alabama State, we were always on the semester system. So that's my journey in teaching. The summer camps were simultaneous with the college and university classes. And all of that was simultaneous with performing in movies whenever they came to Mississippi. And later I was sort of invited to go other places and perform in movies. So God has been good. I always felt that he had me as a vessel, and I tried to serve him with my work with young.
Or is that
Okay.
the university? Is it connected to the university as well?
Well, it started out connected to the university, but it became a statewide and community outreach program that the young man, Maximus Wright, who is a graduate and studied at Tougaloo,
Hmm.
Maximus Wright and some of his classmates, they started out in Jackson, in the campus of Jackson State and in the community and at the Thalamara Hall, downtown Jackson. Then he was able to go home to his school, Tougaloo, because the campus was vacant. And it's costly when you have to rent all of these places and you have to take people from place to place. But when he was able to get the whole program to be at his home school, and school was out, and it's a private school. So with the graces of the president and the support of the faculty there, they were able we were able to hold the film festival there to show the film, have complete access to the auditorium, the screen, the hallways, the different breakout rooms. So it worked wonderfully. The first 2 years, I did not attend in person because of COVID, but I did hold a class on the theory of being and the acting technique of being virtually for the festival. And then on the third year, when I was able to show up in person, we had a huge number of practitioners there who wanted to study being. And then the fourth year, the number grew. And this year, we had a wonderful time once again. Maximus Wright is a creative young man, dedicated, and many times when you're doing projects like this and people are not really, you feel like you don't have the total community behind you, you'll find yourself sort of wavering and wanting to step back. But we keep charging Maximus, don't give up, stay with it. We need you to do this. Because at that festival, not only do I have a chance to teach the theory of being and the acting technique for 2 days, my sessions run, but others are there doing the same thing. They're teaching about how to find a producer, how to make your script, your story into a script, how to actually produce a short film. And then those films are judged and they're given awards for best film, second best film, best actor, all of that. So, and one of the young people asked me this year, and that question stayed with me. He said, well, I just wonder if it means anything to do this here. Maybe we should be in Hollywood or New York, right? I said, baby, where you come from does not dictate where you'll end up. Start where you are and give it your best.
That's it.
Uh,
Start where you are and give your best. Now, Dr. Tonea Stewart, I want you to tell the people, one, what are you doing next? Where can we find you? Where should we look for you? And how can we support what you're doing in our community with arts and entertainment? Just give us a little bit as far as where we can support you, where we can find you, and how we can be a better service to our entertainment community.
what we need to do is try to reach our young people and also bring those persons who've been working in the field closer to them. They don't have to have made a house name. They might not hold a house name, but they have a name and they have work that they've done and they've helped a lot of people. I'm talking about the photographers, the videographers. I'm talking about people who understand lighting and sound, persons that do what we call small jobs, but all jobs are important jobs.
Yes.
Sometimes these very people have been the ones that made a politician look good because of their skills in making their commercials for their campaigns when they were running for office. So bringing those personalities face to face with our young people, getting them prepared for this industry. In every community, we have something that's of value that someone wants to tell a story about, or they want to use that particular location, or they want to pull that talented person from that area. So I'm saying it here. What we need to do and what I'm trying to do right now, since I retired, the first thing I did, Marlena, was um, go into my storage house and all of my storage stuff at the university, packed it up to bring it home. And I was overwhelmed that I had to use 4 different trucks to bring all of my artifacts, all of my boxes, my papers, and all of this together, play scripts, videos, um, and notes that Frank Silvera had left in the care of Dr. Floyd Gaffney. And Dr. Floyd Gaffney, who was my professor at Santa Barbara, held on to those papers and tried to work on writing a book to explain his technique. And he interviewed Frank Silvera, and Frank Silvera told him on one of the tapes, "You know who needs to do this, don't you?" And Floyd said, "Who?" He said, "That girl from Mississippi. Remember her?"
Yes.
And Dr. Gaffney remembered that, and he held on to those papers and those documents and those tapes and those programs and all of Frank Silvera's artifacts. And he shipped them to me just before he passed. I was again overwhelmed.
So
Frank Silvera, I got to know and be in his company for a good solid year. He died in June of 1970. I left Santa Barbara at that time, returned to Jackson State to teach. And B. Riches was his first student. He took me to Los Angeles early on to meet B. Riches. And later, when he passed, B. Riches called me and said, "Sister, Frank said you're the one to do it. I will help you. You've got to tell his story." So since my retirement in 2019, I've committed myself to going through the documents, cataloging them, and communicating with my leading students that have remained very close to me. I can name them on one hand. Of all the students, all of them have been wonderful. But Benita Hamilton Caesar in New York, that's starring in Lion King, Leona Michelle Weaver in New York, that's getting ready to go on Broadway with the Nina Simone story, Shawanda Curry, who just received her master's, 2 masters now, and working with young people in New York City. Charlie Hudson, Antonio Woodard. Charlie Hudson is a wonderful stage actor who's doing all kinds of equity theater and constantly sought after. Antonio Woodard is also a very, very extremely talented actor and has some of our bloodline in him. He's my husband's nephew, but to me, he's my baby boy. Um, my daughter-in-law, L.J. Stewart, and my son, Thomas Stewart, working with me diligently. Thomas is an editor, director. He knows how to produce. LJ is one of the sharpest, strongest actresses I've ever taught, and she's good at articulating what she wants you to know and what she's trying to say. So she's very great, very, very strong in articulating Frank Silvera's theory. So they have pulled together with me,
so you
and we work. we worked up a whole slide presentation
Right.
on B. Richards, Frank Silvera, and myself. And my daughter-in-law and my son even made a documentary about Frank Silvera's American Theater of Being, and I'm very proud of it.
I wanted
So
to
what I'm
say
saying is that's what I've been doing.
that's
We are, go ahead.
that's wonderful. What I wanted to make sure that I got out that you did do a documentary because I know Frank Severa is your mentor, and I definitely want to know if you're going to be writing soon your story because you have such a history in making entertainment available to us and doing those
Well,
moves.
what,
Those
what I'm doing, I'm getting those artifacts together and I'm communicating with various museums to
okay,
get them anchored in different places. At the same time, the dissertation is registered with the International Dissertation. And I'm writing the book. That's on the theory. Now I'm in the process of writing the book that Frank Silvera never wrote himself. He said he could teach it, he could do it, but he was never able to put it in black and white. And it's not easy because it deals with a lot of spirituality. So I am in the process now of getting that book together. I think I've set a deadline date, the 15th of August, to have my first draft. I've got to get that book completed.
wow,
Then at the same time, I'm writing my autobiography. And it's telling the many stories of the many lives I've lived. It talks about me as a little girl.
yes,
It's going to talk about me as a teenager.
uh-huh,
It talks about me as a woman, as a mother,
I love it.
and as a wife, and as a friend.
Well, that
So that one I hope I'll get to complete, but I've got to complete
yes,
Frank Silvera's.
you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it, and of course, my other guest is here in studio, and I want to make sure that we get you and your information. I'm gonna have some taglines under this, so when people see this, they can actually follow you on your Instagram, on your Facebook page, and on your TikTok if you're doing TikTok, right? And um, you're
Whatever Robert said, my publicist is Robert Walker. So
okay.
whatever he says, yeah.
Okay,
Um,
that's good.
I did tell you another big project that I'm working on for Mississippi and Alabama
Uh-huh.
is arts and entertainment
Yes,
as a part of the workforce so that we can not only expose our young people, but train them and get them certified with the unions so they can be a part of the infrastructure when a movie comes into the state of Mississippi or the state of Alabama. It is so sad to see
yes,
our talented young people stand along the sidelines and only be placed as an extra
yes,
and never used as a credible entity to support the industry. And as I mentioned earlier, many of our talented adults, teenagers, young adults, older adults have made the careers for just about it, for every politician that's ever gotten a vote, because it was because of the artists and the genius and the creative juices that came into those commercials to get them to look good and sound good and be accepted in the community.
that's
It
right.
is time for us to know that that is workforce for the state of Mississippi and the state of Alabama. It works already in Georgia. It's working all over that state. It's working already in Louisiana. It's working all over that state. But it's not working in other places where we have the same talent. And many of our talented people feel like the only way they can survive is to go somewhere else. They can stay home, like people in Georgia staying home. And like the laws in Georgia require the companies to make sure that their people work first
That's
and
right.
that they've been looked at before anybody else can come into the state to perform.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that we get another opportunity to bring you on and talk about anything and everything that you're doing because you have such a story. And when you get finished with your book, I'm going to bring you back on and talk about your book too. But I love you. You know I love you. We work together. I love you so much for all your dedication to everything that you're doing and all the
Thank you, babe. Love you too.
work you keep doing. And I'm sure Tonea Stewart.
I want to invite everybody to look up Golden Voices. That's the last show I did. We're getting ready for part three. Golden Voices 1, Golden Voices 2,
Guys,
Golden Voices 3. And it's
check her out and listen. Dr. Tonea, you better come on out and do some more films and things like that. Don't let your acting go away. We're gonna get back to you all. Marlanna J. Today's show. Dr. Tonea Stewart was in the house. Thank you. All right.
bye bye.
All right.